It is I, the Weird Writer in the Woods, and welcome to Ladybug Swarm season. They're everywhere. I don't know if you can see them, they're just flying, like, all over the house, trying to get inside. There's one on my arm right here. They're just everywhere. Yeah, and the neighbor's kids are playing in the background. I'm just here just going to have to deal with that because I have now as my top opportunity to film, and I'm being covered by ladybugs as it is. Go away. Yeah, I think this time of year they're starting to die off and they make one less desperate attempt to just swarm. Maybe this is their mating season or something. I don't know. But there are probably about 2,000 ladybugs out here. So there's one right there. We can play spot the ladybug as we go. Just like, if bugs bug you, you probably shouldn't watch this video. So I actually made an outline and then I didn't bring it out. This is my to-do list, not my outline. And there's another ladybug. I'll be right back. This is my outline. I actually have one. So I was thinking about, it's getting harder and harder to network because so much of our interactions online are geared towards AI and algorithms. And almost every time I get a message from somebody interested in my work these days, it is some person running a bot program with a script. They like start with like, oh, if you're a writer at all who's online, you may have got some of these. So it's like, can you tell me a little bit about your work or your writing journey? And then it's just an excuse to try to sell you something or other. Sometimes they'll even impersonate famous authors like Stephen King. I have one person, one of my writer friends was getting emails from Mary Shelley, which she said is very impressive considering how long Mary Shelley has been dead. But networking is really important. Is you need to find people to share audiences with or do collabs with or just to, talk to you about writer stuff. So I have made a list of my ways to find people to interact with. Now, some of these are free. Some of them do have a little bit of a price tag, like the first one I'm going to get into. And some of them are going to be hard to find your exact right place, especially if you write in a genre that isn't like mainstream. You do want to try to work inside your genre. Like if you write romance and you team with a horror writer, the chances of you guys sharing an audience are pretty low. I mean, there are some eclectic readers out there who read just about anything, but they're not the majority. A lot of people tend to stick to their personal favorite flavor types. But anyway, my first resource, which is the one that I mentioned has a bit of a cost, but I've always found it to be worth it, is BookFunnel. BookFunnel does newsletter swaps. They do group promos where like everybody agrees to send out a link to a page with all their books at the same time. I think it's about... Now, here's the thing. I have been grandfathered into BookFunnel since they had their old pricing, which I think is $25 a year. I think it's more now, but I don't know how much more. But I've always found it very worth it. And if you are really trying to grow your newsletter list, it's definitely worth it. So BookFunnel is one thing. And you can sign up for their... you go into their settings and set up their notifications to send you book funnels within a specific genre or within certain multiple genres. And then you can get emails for all the group promos that are going on in your genre. And you can just look and pick the ones that fit. Another one is social media groups. I'm on quite a few based on like different things. I'm in a lot for swoony fantasy romance. I'm in some for clean fiction. I'm in some for Christian speculative fiction writers. Realm Makers is a big one. So there's a lot of different options, but those are places that you can like start interacting with people. And a lot of times you need to not go in guns blazing to promote your own book. You go in and you start asking questions like, hey, this is my writing experience. What's your writing experience type stuff? That sounds lame, but it's things like, have you ever had it when you're written a word so many times that it starts to look fake? Or funny typos. I share those sometimes. Or I'll do things like, oh, this is the search term this week that's going to get me on watch lists because it happens. Yeah. I'm going to get swarmed by these little buggers. Also just asking questions about writing. Like I'm an extroverted writer, so I need excuses to talk about my writing. So sometimes instead of just trying to puzzle something out on my own, and this is one thing I see people going to AI about, they'll come to a plot point and they'll be like, okay, well, what is a good reason for my person to go back to work after hours? Like, they need an excuse that works. Like, oh, did he forget his wallet? Did he forget his phone? Did he want to go back and get some work done? And they'll, like, instead of asking or just thinking out themselves, they'll go to AI. And sometimes you do need a brainstorming, but don't use AI. Use Facebook groups or Twitter groups and go and talk. Hey guys, what do you think? What do you think would be the best type of car for my character to drive? Or what do you think would be a good job for a character to have? And you can ask questions that you would ask AI and get better answers, and develop a relationship with other writers because they've talked about it. They're on my outline. They're taking over. Mothman, come save me. Do you eat these things? No, Mothmans don't eat these things, do they? Anyway. Another option, and my daughter's been doing this a lot, is in-person events. My daughter is not a writer, but she's trying to be an illustrator. So when I go to in-person events like table events and conventions, I bring her with me and she talks to all the writers. And she will give them her Instagram handle and say, hey, I do illustrations. If you ever want somebody to draw some stickers for you or something, just hit me up. You can also do this by just going around collecting business cards and start following people that you see there on social media and then tagging them. And that also gives you an idea of who's in your area, which is sometimes very convenient, especially if they know other in-person events or stuff to go to. I love doing that. I'm probably not as good about doing that as other people, or I think they just bit me. Turkeys. I swear. Because I tend to be the person who gets at her booth and she's got her own little kingdom, and I just sit there, and I love engaging with people, but I don't like leaving my booth alone because that's how you miss sales. Interacting with readers is another one. I have a reader group. So many on my water bottle. I'm going to shut the lid so they don't get inside the water. But I have a couple of reader spaces that I have. I have like some private groups that are just the most dedicated readers. And I've got the ones that are more public, like Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. And I interact with readers pretty commonly on there. And some of my readers are also writers. And some of my readers have become writers over time, especially when I put out my call for writing in the Dosiverse. It's so many. For the SVR file, Dosifiles, that was something I did. And I've got some of my readers became writers in my universe, and sometimes I was the first place they got published. That was good. Now, one thing I don't know, because when I was first getting into this, book bloggers were a big source, and like a lot of them had like huge followings, and it was hard to get a hold of them. But if you found like a small book blogger and you sent them an ARC, they would be happy to have it because they didn't get a lot of contacts, and then you could develop a relationship with them where they would share your stuff for you. And I have some people who I started interacting with a long time ago who were book bloggers, and that was a thing that I was. But now it feels like A, blogging has become less of a thing than it used to be, and B, the few blogs that are still successful have such long waiting lists and so many contacts, people asking them to read their books and stuff, that they've had to stop offering. Even when I was doing it, I had one book blogger who revealed that she was getting like 100 requests to review books a day, which obviously you can't reply to that many emails. It's impossible. So people were mad at her because they would email her asking if she wanted to do a review of her book, and then like she wouldn't be able to reply forever and ever and ever. And then they'd be like, well, you never even replied. And she's like, well, that's because I get 100 emails a day. So book bloggers, if you can get one and who's on your side, they're great. Same with bookstagrammers, I think, which kind of took over for book bloggers and book talk. But I feel like they're all getting so much requests now that they're not necessarily your best unless you already have a really good marketing plan or you're willing to pay for their services, because some of them, that's what happens. If somebody's doing something for free and it becomes overwhelming, they start paying because that puts a gate on it. So some of the things that are do's and don'ts for when you're interacting with people, don't spam reader groups. I hate that. Just today, I had somebody join my reader group, which I need to put up like some sort of way to get people out of it, but like answer questions type stuff. It used to be on there, but Facebook took it off. But they joined and immediately started posting about their books. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, that's not what the group is for. And I feel like just that kind of spam is not going to really help you in long term. People just kind of like read right past it. But a good thing to do is to recommend other authors. Like a lot of times people ask for book recommendations, right? And I go in there and I'll always try to recommend at least 2 other books before you do the self-rec. And I feel like self-recs, people see a dime a dozen, and like, of course you're gonna say your book's good. Why should I believe you? And but if you recommend a book of another person, that stands out. And I like that also kind of gets that reputation that you're not just in it for yourself and that you're helping other writers. I've argued before that you should try to recommend other indies. Like if you're in there and recommending J.R.R. Tolkien, yes, he's good, but no, he's not going to recommend you back because he's long gone. Another thing you should not do is try to create obligations. I really hate it when I get a messages like, hey, I just followed you, follow me back, or hey, I just reviewed your book, would you review mine? No, the answer is always no. If you are automatically starting the conversation with a sense of obligation because of something you did, especially that's something I didn't ask for, the answer for me is always going to be no. It's just bad will, it's bad faith, and it kind of shows that you only helped them or did something for them in order to get something done for yourself. As I mentioned earlier, you probably don't want to go out of genre. Maybe you have a really good relationship with somebody who writes in a different genre than you and you're good friends, and maybe there are ways to share that on your personal feed or by leaving a review of their book. But if you're doing it on your writer thing, it's probably not going to reach the right audience for them, and it's probably not going to reach the right audience for you, and that's not going to help either of you. Look at this little guy. They're so bold. Okay, so, and the other thing is you, of course, want to follow through. If you say you're going to do something, do something. There's a lot of reasons that people could fall through, and I like to personally have a little bit of grace with people who like, for instance, I give somebody an advanced copy of my book, and they say they're going to review it. I don't usually go chase them down if I don't see that they reviewed it. I assume that maybe something came up, maybe they got sick, maybe they started the book and they didn't like it, and if they didn't like it, it's fine if they stop reading it. Not think everything's for everybody. So those are some things that it's important to know about networking. And the other is do not network with ladybugs because they will take over. I can't get to focus on him, but he's right there. There's so many of the dang things. All right, let's go ahead and show my woods in the winter. Or not winter, in the autumn, because it's November now. So many leaves turning. It's going to be really pretty out here once the ladybugs go away. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me for Cozy Autumn Chat. And if you have time, I do have a Kickstarter live now. If you go to Kickstarter, it's linked to a lot of places on my profile, but it's Bouncing Back. It's a superhero novel, and I want to get it fully funded and maybe put some plus on it so we can get to our stretch goals and have audio too.